Hey guys, it's a weightlifting therapist. I want to make a video on something I see becoming more of a problem, especially even over the past 2 years that I've been working in a psych hospital with teens. And I'll go over what I think that is, why I think maybe there's some arguments against it, and maybe what we can do about it. So that thing is, and it's not just one thing, I'm thinking, so you have Instagram, you have your Facebooks, the whole 9 yards, and it's always nowadays, you got your cell phone on you at all times, and a lot of kids do too, even 11-year-olds, 10-year-olds, kids are going to elementary school, they're having their smartphones on them, and it's on them all the time. And so it's just one of these things that I find myself talking about or having to address in almost every single family session I have to do with the kids I work with. So typically, we have to do a family session at least once a week for every kid that's in the hospital. And we're trying to sort out and improve communication between themselves and parents, trying to game plan the aftercare, trying to address issues they need to get addressed. And one of the things that keeps coming up is social media. I feel like I have to talk about it all the time, and I'm having to get educated on stuff that teens are doing nowadays that is just going right underneath their parents' noses and is perpetuating the situation. So I don't think social media, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, Snapchat, I don't think those things are negative in themselves. They're not a negative, they're not out seeking to cause harm or make things worse, and they themselves alone are not, I don't think they're a bad thing. It's not a negative thing. You can network with a lot of supportive people and friends and family and follow a lot of motivational, supportive things on there. And a lot of times what kids are doing is they're getting into, we're seeing a lot of bullying, a lot of just going back and forth of shaming. Kid maybe pictures getting posted and spread all over social media. A lot of times, especially, I see with kids that really struggle, with younger kids that are struggling with a lot of self-harm, they'll follow Instagram accounts and profiles and friends and peers who are displaying their self-harm, who are kind of glorifying it in a way on whether they mean to or not on social media, and they're following this and they're getting wrapped into these other kids' problems. One of the things I've seen recently is a kid that was really wrapped up into another one of his peers' Instagram accounts, and there's a lot of self-harm going. This whole little group, it was just this little self-harm cluster. I don't know how else to describe it. And one person would self-harm, and maybe two others would self-harm, and then they would try to help each other. They try to be supportive, and they didn't really realize they're just sinking as a little group until it just got to the point where they're writing suicide letters, and they almost all come into the hospital at the same time. So it can be this environment that fosters and spreads this negative glorification of depression and self-harm and just kind of self-loathing, and really perpetuates it. The next thing, regardless of it's self-harm or drug use, just maybe you have a kid who's going through depression and they're super impressionable to their peers, especially the younger ones, 13, 14, 15, and they start associating with negative peers, so they're seeing the negative things on social media, drug use, basically disrespect of women, really negatively molding their view of others and of things and themselves. You see kids, a lot of, like I said, the drug use is just this constant, and they're seeing this and consuming this daily, and they're interacting with these people, and they think they're friends, and it just turns into this negative cycle. And then they don't know how to, it makes it more difficult for them to get away from them and to distance themselves from them. I see a lot of, another thing with kids who are struggling with substance use that come to the hospital, and Snapchat is a huge thing with them. Snapchat and Instagram, buying and selling and getting wrapped up into it, and peers are doing it. So it just it's the opposite of, the positive sides of social media, and also tend to be what creates the most problems. If you're an unstable, if we take an unstable person and we associate them with negative peers just at school in general, before, not even counting a cell phone or access, that's obviously not a good combination, and I don't need to explain why. But now you're taking that young, impressionable, depressed person, and you're constantly having them interact or have access to, negative peers and negative things, and glorification of those negative things. And additionally, on top of just associating with others and negative, situations, circumstances, they're comparing themselves, a lot of times comparing themselves to other kids. I know one girl was telling me in a group you know, when she gets less likes on one Instagram post versus more likes on another Instagram post, maybe less likes the next one, you know, it makes her really doubt herself, and her self-worth tanks. She has her self-worth so tied into her Instagram posts. And so it's just this ebb and flow, you know. She feels great when the likes are coming in and terrible when the likes are going down. And it's really good group and discussion on self-esteem and the appropriate boundaries for social media. So ending, you know, I don't think any of this is bad in itself, but just if you're a professional and you're working with adolescents, this video is not for you. You already know this, but for parents and for other people that are kind of in this field, really key into social media. Sometimes kids will make one account that their parents know of, and they'll have 3 or 4 other accounts that they're actually going and doing, you know, things they don't want their parents to know about on the main account. You know, there's so many different things, and a lot of the apps, and they have workarounds that let parents can monitor the things. You know, sometimes I recommend just pulling the cell phone, pulling social media access, giving a limited flip phone or something like that for emergency situations. And it's really hard for kids. It honestly turns into a huge argument when we start talking about limiting the cell phone. It's almost like you're taking away a piece of their identity, a piece of them, a part of themselves. That you're taking away their ability to express themselves and interact. And really, you are. I mean, even though I wouldn't want to give up my phone. You know, I like, just like everyone else, I like to be on there. I like to be connected to my friends and to research things I want to research, and the whole 9 yards. But you know, if somebody can't maintain their mental health, a cell phone, social media access can sometimes be the absolute worst thing. It just devalues them. They associate with negative things and peers. They compare themselves. They get wrapped up into social groups and have constant interaction and access with it. So it just perpetuates these situations that we see being brought into our hospital. Like I said, it's constant. Almost every family session I'm doing, we're having to discuss cell phones and social media access and the negative things, whether it's, you know, that I listed before going on in there constantly, almost every single family session. So it's definitely becoming more of a problem. And no, I didn't even discuss this as much when I started, so more so now. Anyhow, guys, if you have questions or comments, you agree, disagree, just put it in the comments below and I'll get back to you. Thank you.